Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Euro trade on TopstepTV. I do have my AC on and I'm trying a noise suppression, so the mic might sound a little different, but we are in the middle of a heat wave in London, so this is the only way that I can sit here under all of these lights and computers and everything that's heating up the room. Otherwise, I would be sweating away. So hopefully it's not going to be too disruptive. Anyways, let's have a look at what we have here. But before we begin, if we're meeting for the first time, welcome. My name is Deeyana Angelo, aka Market Stalker D. I'm one of the coaches here, but also a funded live trader. I've been trading for 18 years. 13 years out of that, I've been a prop trader, mainly specializing in commodities, which means over here you're going to see a lot of copper, mainly platinum, natural gas, sometimes crude oil, and RBOB, which is gasoline futures. I do trade DAX as well, still waiting, hopefully, patiently, on DAX and Eurex to come to TopstepTV. But, you know, as traders, we have to be patient, and patient I am. So, yeah, let's see how all of this is going to play out. Copper. Yesterday, we did a pretty deep dive into how copper looks from larger time frames. I said that we're still not all the way up at the weekly supply. So that's still a possibility that we kind of just keep going up higher until we reach that point, and then that's kind of a line in the sand. It's either going to fail or it's going to just carry on through it, but it is a line in the sand. Now, obviously, we're not going to be trading from the weekly chart. It's just more of a directional chart location indicator to make us realize whether we're in a range, whether the market is trending or not. This week is a 4th of July week, so we're going to be getting NFP on a Friday. Sorry, NFP on a Thursday when normally it's on a Friday. So that's going to be a bit weird. It could be that we run into another quiet day. I had a decent day yesterday, just did like 2 base hits. One was on copper short and another one was natural gas short. Both of them worked. So I did end up the day $418 up. But yeah, we'll see what we have today. For the London session, I'm going to stick with micros, just in case we get really stuck in a day that is going nowhere. As it stands right now, Asia did take it higher. This is copper, HGU contract. And it actually reached ADR high already. ADR high is a quantitative extreme, which usually means that once we get up to that level, we're expecting a reversal. If the reversal then doesn't happen, that gives us a slightly different approach and a possibility of a single direction day that just kind of keeps going and almost doesn't look back. But for now, I am looking at a rejection of that ADR high. When it comes to the value areas, let's just drop straight into the 30-minute chart. All of the levels of interest that I have are kind of lowered down. I would like this to maybe fail around 515. And in that case, we do have a gamma wall lower down at 510. We also have the London value high. And what you'll notice with the options levels, they will usually align. These like major options levels are going to usually align with one of my pre-existing levels that I've been using for 13 years, for as long as I've been a prop trader. Oops, I'm stepping on a dog. That's Rumor Bear. Okay. So yeah, we'll see what happens, but I'm just going to mark the initial balance here. So it looks like it did fail the initial balance around the VWAP, but longs around here I'm not really in favor of. So I would like to be a seller somewhere. We just need to see how price action is going to behave, and then we can figure out whether there is a short here at all. be careful this week. Like I said, we could be in a weird week where yesterday was the end of the month. This is the first of the month. We could have some institutional positioning ahead of the NFP, right? It's one of the biggest leading indicators, and it will affect nearly everything. So we're going to see how that plays out. Oh, yeah, full screen. I forgot to do that. Thank you, Bruno. There we go. That should look a little bit better now. Saying nice hat. Yeah, this arrived, the hat arrived yesterday with a couple of muscle teas since I'm melting here in London. Yamal Trade says, poor dog. Well, you know, he did sneak in. I didn't see him. He loves laying underneath desks and your feet. And I actually have 5 dogs in here. They're all like huddled into the room that has air conditioning. Like, we're running away. They have a little paddling pool outside as well, so it's not like I'm, you know, torturing them or anything. They do pretty well to keep themselves cool. All right, let's have a look at some more supportive levels. So we have another strongish GAX level, gamma exposure level at 516, smack in the middle of the initial balance. So yeah, Sony has a question. She says, good morning. Good morning. Where is the volume profile anchored on the right? So this is not anchored volume profile. I actually use TPOs rather than the volume profile for any sort of regular trading hours or the current active session. This is simply the visible volume range. So whatever it's displaying on this current chart, that is what the volume will be calculating. On my other charting package, I do have the 4-week anchored volume profile. So that is something that also guides my decisions. And I can tell you we have quite a bit of volume built up around 512 when we look at the profile. And then we have some thinner volumes from 508. Also, why maybe, you know, a run down to that area could be a decent strategy. And then we have more thick volumes down about 495. But yeah, that's something maybe for another day. I'm not sure that we're going to be getting there today because it's way outside of the day's range and probably not appropriate. Yamil Trades says, sorry dear, I wouldn't know. I only find myself trading the NASDAQ. Why wouldn't you join the dark side on tick charts for some good old-fashioned NASDAQ? It's fire. I don't think it's fire. I think it's so here's the thing. The longer you trade, the less drama you want. Now I get it that the new generations, now I look like a kid, but I'm not. I'm going to be 45 this year. I've been trading for nearly 2 decades, right? Once you get to a certain age, your brain, first of all, doesn't want stress, right? You get stress, you get a whole bunch of diseases coming along with it. Second of all, this instant gratification generation that everybody's chasing, I have a huge problem with that because I don't think that it sets you up to be a very good trader. If you cannot be patient, and here's the thing, I've had, and I don't just necessarily mean traders who are older, I mean traders who have just started trading and they have this expectation that profits must come now or never, and that I have a problem with. I traded NASDAQ when it was less crazy, and I actually traded it even during COVID, which you can find on my own channel, kindly put below this video by lovely Topstep team. I'm actually going to do another live stream on my own channel today, and I think I'm going to start a little later. I'm going to start, I think, 10 a.m. Central, which is 4 p.m. our time over here in the UK. So, yeah, the reason why I don't resonate with NASDAQ anymore is because it's got so speculative. It's gotten so speculative that intra-candle, it has so much directional movement. When you look at it from like a 15-minute point of view, it gives you a headache. It looks like it's having a seizure constantly. I hate those sorts of products. If I'm watching a trade, the last thing that I want is some kind of a disco candle that's like, ooh, up, down, up, down, up, down. We're raving, we're raving, we're raving. We're going up, we're going down. Where are we going? Nobody knows. So it annoys the hell out of me. I cannot stand it. And it never used to be that way. It used to be quicker, but it used to be more directional. So what I think has happened to it is because of its popularity since the zero DTE options were all abuzz in COVID, now there's so many speculators inside it that while it is directional on a lot of the days, it also has a lot of the price movement that means so many people are trading it that is basically not able to decide on the smoother direction. And I hate that. So I gravitate towards products at this age, after all of this time, that will be smooth, give you a direction, and then mainly stick with that direction. And that translates into, let's say I'm looking at a 30-minute chart like I have here on copper. If the 30-minute chart goes red, and especially if we're kind of nearing the last 10 minutes of that 30-minute candle, I would expect it to stay red, not to suddenly turn green and then, or white on my charts, but you get the gist, in like the last 5 seconds. And that's exactly what annoys me about NASDAQ. I always say NASDAQ giveth and NASDAQ taketh. There are very few people out there that are able to not have some dramatic losses that wipe out all of the work that you've done in a single day. For some reason, the movement the NASDAQ exhibits messes with people's emotions. And most people cannot hold their shit, excuse my language, when that sort of movement starts happening and their plan is not working out. The speed of NASDAQ messes people up. And then you might have been working for 6 weeks, 7 weeks, that one day, and all of your work is done. It also is very good for slightly negative risk-reward strategies and high win rate percentages. But those sorts of systems are notoriously unstable over time. And like I said, there are people who are able to be emotionally resilient, to not be bothered by NASDAQ, but they tend to be people who are, A, that's probably not their main source of income. B, they are probably pretty experienced traders. And C, they are unusual individuals that have high emotional resilience. Again, you know, it all comes down to how you can actually govern yourself when things are not going right. And what I've seen from the coaching side is that perfectly good traders turn into complete muppets on days when NASDAQ is not doing what they want them to do. So for some reason, it causes great traders to look like highly average traders and even complete muppets because of the speed, because of the jitteriness, and because of all of the, you know, craziness that comes along with NASDAQ. I've always been a commodities trader, okay? I never called myself an equities trader, even though, yes, during London, I have gravitated towards trading DAX. And I do love DAX, but it is nowhere near as crazy. It still moves a lot, and it's still reasonably volatile, but in a different way. Again, if you get a trend on DAX, it's going to mainly go in the same direction. Whereas if you look at NASDAQ candles, there's like wicks every single candle, and that's not good price action. And then you suddenly get to a point where it's a range-bound day, and the chat on Topstep loses their minds. And I'm just going to show you what I mean, right? So I don't have NASDAQ over here, but I have it here. Look at these candles. Every single candle has an enormous wick. That's not good price action. So in order for you to actually stick through these, like this is a range bound day from yesterday. How big is this candle? It's It's basically 30, like this is like 74 points in a single candle with a wick of about 38 points. Like, what is that, you know? And if you look at how Asia moves, I can totally understand why people prefer trading NASDAQ during Asia rather than trading it during regular trading hours. It is a smoother trade, right? So look at that versus this. It's a nightmare. So all of these massively large wicks and stuff, it just doesn't invite me at all. And to me, it's not fun. To me, it's stress. And it's nonsense. That is not, like, if you watched Linda Raschke interview when she was on TopstepTV, did she mention NASDAQ at one point? She mentioned corn, which is ultra smooth and very, very trendy. When it goes into a trend, it just decides to go one way and it just keeps going. She did not mention NASDAQ, did she? Why do you think that is? Somebody who's held like what, number 13th biggest hedge fund in the world, and she's not going, yeah, trade NASDAQ, everyone, it's brilliant. No, she's like, if you're struggling, trade corn. So I'm saying if you're struggling, try copper, because copper is very smooth, it's very directional. And in a couple of minutes, I am going to try short if we stick below 515. As a potential mean reversion back down to the value area, or at least somewhere, you know, maybe 512 or something, just to grab a few ticks here and there. So yeah. Alex K says, could you talk about what you look for when trading the DAX? Exactly the same thing that I look for in everything else. My levels don't change. My levels will always be value area, quantitative extremes, options levels, and then just VWAP, you know, as in maybe an additional supportive factor, and that's it, you know. So gamma walls, where are they? Do we have anything on the way? How is the price reacting? Market profile, initial balance, literally same setups. I have the same playbooks for everything. They don't change, okay? But if you are, you know, if you don't have defined playbooks, that's something for you to work on, right? I can tell you what I look for in DAX, if I can drag it out. So give me a second. So here's DAX. Let's have a look at it on the weekly chart. Still hanging around all-time highs. This is from the previous contract, so let's just delete all of that. Some reaction at the weekly supply on this new September contract. I'm using CQG. All of these are my indicators as well. So where are we? This is the day Q high point, so that had a reaction. Does that mean that it's going to turn down? Well, I don't like this buying wick on the daily chart, but we did make a new lower low. This is a weak reversal. So we could be in a situation where intraday we just keep going higher again, because it is an equity index and any shorts have to be really justified. 4-hour chart, again, looking a little bit supportive around this area, because this is some kind of a demand. It's also a little bit of a thinner volume area from a 4-week profile. Let's have a look at the 1 hour. So quite similar. It has not hit any major levels yet, but it's opening slightly below value, which does bring in the possibility of a sustained auction lower. Probabilistically, that is the highest setup, but we have VWAP up at 24,009, so let's say 24,000. Where's the gamma wall? The gamma wall is all the way up at 24,130. We have some reasonably strong GEX levels. Which one is this one? Let's see. So we kind of bounced from GEX 3 at 23,939. But the gamma wall, like I said, isn't until much higher up. There is a nice put support right around the exhaustion of the current day's option volatility area, which is lower at 23,841. So again, all the same. And then I just look at how the initial balance is behaving. Are we sticking below it? Are there single prints? And all of that good stuff. So same exact analysis, maybe with a bit of an upward skew. So if I see a long trade setup, I may try and hold it longer. Whereas if I see a short, I will be like trying to not stay in it for as long because it's an equity index. I prefer mean reversions or for DAX in particular on the long side. So if there's a possibility for that, I would jump on it. But yeah, exactly the same. Dallas says gold seems to be breaking down. Really? You and I have different ideas of gold breaking down, but let me plop it onto the side. Again, lots of buying wicks is all passive buying. Right now, I wouldn't be messing around with that. But, you know, the gamma wall is lower down. I think gold is going through a bit of a reversal from the recent lows. Narrowly missed some of the demands that we had down here. One, I know, it's very exciting, but you're a good watchdog, I know. Yeah, but right now I'm seeing it reverse. Now, this is a 3 inside up pattern. A version of a 3-bar reversal, and it's pretty strong, so it's actually gone over the expected volatility for the day to the upside. So that could mean more upsides. But yeah, I wouldn't say it's breaking down. We also we still have a little bit of ADR left. ADR high on my chart is 33.66. Let's say 67. And we're not quite there yet. So yeah, that's all the way up at the volume point of control. So yeah, I don't think this is a breakdown. I think this is just a bit more of a quieter period. So yeah. Copper still hanging around that 515 level. I wanted to break down through that if I'm going to do anything with it. And if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. So yeah. Again, I would urge everybody to have a little glance at the daily chart every so often, because that can provide you with some valuable price action clues. Just in the last sort of 2 or 3 candles, is it reversing? Is it, you know, does it already have a reversal? And for the most part, because those big time frames have a lot of trading information inside it. So when you do see a strong reversal, that typically tends to hold a lot more weight than when you see it on a 15-second chart. Just an idea, you know. Pedro says, good morning, Dee. Have you ever tried Dow or Russell? Yeah, I trade Dow quite a bit, actually, usually around power hour. So in the last 90 minutes, if I had a decent day and, you know, I didn't overtrade, I didn't do like 10 trades already for the day because I do have a limit. Usually if I get to about 5th or 6th trade on the day and I'm not up, I will be going, okay, maybe not my day today. But for the summertime, I try to stick to about 3 to maybe 5 trades. If we're in a time of the year or the market state where there's a lot of volatility and a lot of movement, I will allow myself to have 10 to 13 trades per day, but that's not going to be all on the same product. It's going to be, you know, maybe a couple on copper, maybe one on platinum, maybe another couple on crude oil or gold. And then once all of that is done, if I'm up on the day and I still have a little bit of profit buffer to play with, then I might try a YM trade for the last 90 minutes of trading. So that's how I approach it. But I generally don't trade US equities until the last 90 minutes. That is my time frame for them. and I don't like to mix and match because I have very well defined products for each part of the day. I don't get involved in the craziness of the open. I think it's bonkers. I think people don't have a lot of consistency, and they're still just riding the wave of dopamine that the open brings. Because if you do get it right, it rewards you. But if you don't, or if you end up in a range bound day, it's so early in the day that you can't even tell it's a range bound day unless you're looking at profiles or have some more robust ways of figuring out that we have range bound conditions. And then trouble ensues. You're effectively looking for breakouts on a range bound day. That's a no. It's definitely a no. But yeah. Again, Asia seems to be, it's almost kind of like, I was actually talking to my husband about this, and I was like, Asia seems to be doing this thing where, US tends to try and sell off some of the products that we track. And then it's almost like Asia comes in and just goes, that's a great price. Let's just buy it. And then by the time any of us are up and awake and ready, everything is too high. So we either end up in a crappy range bound day, or we have to contend with maybe buying it at really unfavorable prices if it just keeps going up. So it's almost like Asia is giving us the middle finger all the time. It's not unusual given what's going on in the world right now, right? They maybe feel like they're a bit hard done by the whole tariffs and stuff. But hey, I'm just a neutral spectator, right? I have no opinion, because as traders, we cannot have an opinion. We just need to trade what's in front of us and not complain. All right, so we seem to be breaking down a little bit. 2 minutes until this 30-minute close. So I might as well give it time to see what sort of price action we have at the time. Chat, how are you doing? How were you? Did you survive yesterday? How was yeah, EU numbers, I know. Yeah, I'm gonna wait until all of them are a little bit settled after the EU numbers are done. For those of you following DAX and stuff, let's have a look. Today is Tuesday. Yeah, so Euro numbers already kind of came out. I do think that we had something, there was some yesterday. Oh yeah, yesterday we had a whole bunch of stuff coming out. PMI, Lagarde was speaking. Yeah, a whole bunch of countries with flash manufacturing PMI. So, yes. Yamo Trades has a great question. What time is a good time to focus on trading copper and platinum and crude oil in New York and London sessions? So here's the thing. London has this thing called the London Metal Exchange. Okay, let's try. Ugh, I don't know when my platform's open. That's annoying. A little bit annoying. Let's just try this. Just give me a minute. 2 hour, and then we'll see what happens in 1 hour if it gets there. Yeah, so copper and LME, if you look at the timings, and yesterday I did pull up the times of the day. Let me just get a bit more comfy here. Got into a lotus position. Yeah, so they start trading it around 11. Was it 11 o'clock? I'll just have a look at it. Yeah, so copper is actually traded from about 12 to 12:05 in a 5-minute increment. So the London Metal Exchange actually begins trading at 11:40, nice and leisurely. That's coming in about an hour 40 when we're looking at this time of day. So yeah, we probably will see an additional increase in volume around 11:40, and this actually rings true for my my own how would you classify it? My own performance observations. So whenever I'm in with copper slightly early during London, it tends to be like even though the trade might be profitable, it tends to be much slower. It's like pulling teeth, it takes longer, whatever. And then that period of 11:40 comes in, and everything just livens up. So if you're going to do a trade, I would say aim to find a decent copper trade between that 11:40 and 1:30 COMEX open. That would be my prime time for looking for setups. Obviously, I do these streams, so people want to see us trade, and that means that if there is a setup that is sort of okay, I will take it. However, if I was just sitting by myself, not live streaming or anything, I would be waiting for 11:40 and the LME ring first session to start before I will be looking for trades. These sessions, the Euro trade, were started with the intention of me trading DAX, but obviously a year into it, we still haven't been able to quite implement that. And yeah, so now I'm here stuck trading copper. But it's okay because I actually found different products, and it took me on a big journey to see what actually moves during this time. And not many things, I can tell you that. Gold moves, so that's okay. Sometimes it doesn't move. A lot of the days I come to trade the London Open, and it's just like watching paint dry on gold. So I find it generally pretty unreliable. So once we've had that sort of LME ring 1 session, I will actually leave it until probably in and around Euro close. So from my 4 p.m., that is 10 a.m. Central, I will start to usually look for the next setup, either in copper or in crude oil. But crude oil for me, I very rarely trade it during London, so it is almost exclusively a NYMEX product for me. And I usually trade it from 3 p.m. my time, so that's 9 a.m. Central. And same thing with gasoline futures, because those two are very, very connected. So yeah. Platinum, I would say it probably resonates with me best during either Asia, if you are awake at that time. I'm not. Or if you can do maybe same time frame as crude oil, so post NY cut, which would be after 9 a.m. Central, 3 p.m. UK time. That would be when I'm looking for platinum. However, recently I've actually been doing some trades after the platinum officially settles, because the candles have been pretty big. So once it settles, it actually settles into a price action where you can find pretty nice smooth trades for only 35 ticks risk, which is brilliant. And then I still get about 70 ticks out of it. So yeah. So copper, platinum, crude oil. Yeah. So it depends. Copper can be a little bit fickle beast if you've had great Asia, great London, and then you get to COMEX and it's like really quiet. So just be mindful of how sessions relate and correlate to each other. Kasoon wants to know which provider do I use for gamma walls. I use Mentor Q. I have done some webinars for them. Mentor Q is what I use, so that is in the chat. Very good company, because they are probably the only ones that offer commodities options as well. All of the other providers are heavily skewed towards QQQs, SPY, and then obviously maybe ES and NQ. But Mentor Q has everything, almost everything. So if it's got some options activity, then Mentor Q will definitely be there. Alex Bruel wants to know, do I live stream every day on my channel too? No, I don't. I only stream once a week, and I just started that back up after a 2-year hiatus. I used to stream every day. Unfortunately, I'm still not a fully healthy person. Yay. Yay for vaccine injuries. So I was an athlete a few years ago. I was really active. I was very strong. I did bodybuilding competitions. You know, basically I was one of those crazy people that just doesn't know when to stop with things and never does anything halfway. So yeah, I loved it. But unfortunately, I had an adverse reaction to the booster vaccine that was maybe done a little bit too soon that it was supposed to. We were advised, and there was, look, I'm not blaming anyone. I always say it was a set of circumstances. My dad was really ill. I was supposed to go see him. We had puppies at the time. Our crazy dogs were born at that point. And I decided to take the booster because Boris Johnson said anyone who's had the second dosage in the last 3 months is eligible. And I decided to go and have it done because I was supposed to travel, and you couldn't travel without being fully boosted either. So again, a number of things that sort of aligned the wrong way. Unfortunately, my father died a month after I was in the throes of the vaccine injury. It had some lasting effects on the neural inflammation, which in turn caused a whole bunch of weird symptoms throughout my body. It's basically a disorder of the central nervous system, and I'm getting better. It's been 3.5 years, but it's a long road and it's going very, very slowly. Like every sort of 6 months to a year, I notice that I can do a little bit more. But it's, you know, I'm still kind of up and down. But I've got to a point where I have more good days than bad, as long as I don't socialize too much. As long as I'm mainly housebound still. So I do go grocery shopping, but I have to have my husband there with me because I sometimes get weak legs, and then walking gets difficult. So yeah, it's a whole, you know, whole thing. But I'm a strong person, so I'm actually able to navigate it pretty well. Didn't like being bedridden for 18 months. I've got to say that was a very, very challenging time, but we're over that. I found some treatments that are working. And no, it's not about drinking more water or going swimming or, you know, trying to get into like the nature and fresh air. One of the reasons why we did move the house, I live in the countryside now. I live smack dab in the middle of London. It was a lot of smog. It was a lot of, you know, old Victorian houses that are not maybe the best for people with chronic illnesses. But yeah, and it's been a challenge. So I cannot live stream every day on 2 channels. That would like kill me. I would very quickly find myself in the dark room, light sensitive, noise sensitive, and with such a brain fog that I can't even put like 2 sentences together, let alone actually talk in front of a camera. So it is a challenge, but it is one that I think I'm navigating pretty well. I've definitely learned things about myself. I've learned when to stop. I was one of those people when, you know, I come from trading background, music background, where sleep is considered for just trying to censor myself and not actually swear. Sleep is considered for weaker individuals, which is wrong because sleep is actually very important. And when I got hit with this disease, I had to learn to lie down. Like if your body says you need to lie down, you need to listen to your body and actually go, okay, I'll just force myself to have a nap. And I'm somebody who hates naps. I absolutely despise them. I used to be the person that was working for 16 to 18 hours a day, not a lot of sleep, and then do it all over again and just keep doing that. You know, 4 hours in the gym every day, you know, 12 hours doing my business, trading, and I run multiple businesses. So, you know, it was an adjustment, definitely. And now I have to moderate my time with others as well. So if I'm out socially, I have to give myself a curfew, otherwise I suffer for like 2 weeks after that. But it has made me more obvious to how I'm behaving towards my body, if that makes sense. So I've been very good at going to sleep on time. I used to be a night owl. Now I go to bed around 9:30 p.m., 10 p.m., and I sleep for as long as my body needs that day. You know, if that means I wake up super early, that's fine. But for the most part, I will actually still wake up after about 8-9 hours, and that seems to be what my body needs at the moment. So yeah, it's been a challenge, but you know, we're getting through it, I suppose. Right. So yeah, Alex, Tuesdays, usually 9 a.m., 10 a.m. CST, which is 3 or 4 p.m. BST, if you're in the UK. That will be usually the times when I live stream on my channel. So once a week on Tuesdays, feel free to join me later on. You will probably notice I'm a bit more profane on my channel. So, although I think I've gotten better, because TopstepTV, you know, we try to be pretty civil. We try to not drop too many F-bombs. So I think I've trained myself pretty well to not have a potty mouth all the time. You know, so we'll see. And I do openly vape on my channel. So it's just expect a slightly different vibe, okay? You know, over here we're like, oh, hello, if you're here for the first time. And over there it's like, right. What is going on? What time does platinum settle? Same time as gold. So gold settles, I don't know what time zone you're located in, but basically it's the same time as gold. That would be 12:30 CST, 1:30 p.m. EST, and 6:30 UK time. So take your pick. What am I trading right now? 11 aside wants to know. I'm trading micro copper at the moment because, again, LME is not open yet. It's a bit too early, but we are kind of dancing around 515. We have the possibility for mean reversion down to the London value, but I'm probably not going to be in on that. In fact, I mean, if I look, summertime, right? If I get 35 ticks out of it, I would be perfectly happy. For the morning session, we had this huge pump out of Tokyo. This was Tokyo close, and then whoosh, they decided to push it high into the ADR, and since then we haven't been able to come back there. But yeah, I would like to be a buyer somewhere around the 510 area, and over here I'm looking for shorts because we might have overshot a little bit too high up. So whenever you get like a mean reversion, gap fill sort of a opportunity, those are generally the opportunities that carry more imbalance inside them. So they may they may take time to get going, but ultimately they just at some point decide to take it one way or the other, right? So we'll find out. It tried to fail the auction. If we were in a proper failed auction and not like a random walk, this would have been already all the way up through most of this initial balance. So there is a chance that, you know, it does hit me. But we also have a GEX3 at 516. So a couple of very strong gamma exposure levels. Just let me double check that I'm not imagining things. No, it is GEX3, yeah. So yeah, my stop loss is just outside of that. If both of these levels break down, so be it. You know, you admit that you're wrong, take it on the chin, and then wait for me, it's going to be the next session. And I won't be doing like too many trades in and around this area. So, you know, what kills people the most is, I think, multiple tries around the same level. You're not supposed to do that. I actually had someone who was like, oh yeah, I have a great system, but you know, I can't seem to follow it. And I'm like, okay, well, it's not a great system then, is it? If you can't follow it. And I said, what's the problem? And he said, well, the system calls for like a 1 hour candle, and I'm using 5 minutes. And then I try several times. So I'm like, so you've completely redesigned the strategy and you're not actually following the strategy. And then you're complaining that you're not able to follow it. So let's break this down for a little bit. So the strategy calls for a 1 hour price action. Yes. Why are you using 5 minutes? Because I want to be in quicker. That has nothing to do with the strategy. And then when the 5 minute fails, what do? Well, I then try again. And how many attempts does the strategy call for around the same level? 1. So you've increased the number of trades. You've changed the time. It's like, are we, you know, what are we doing here? It's like, that's not the same strategy, right? You completely redesigned everything and you're calling that a strategy. So it's not the strategy, it's you. But, you know, maybe let's try going back to the original, what the strategy is saying. Stop trying multiple tries. Do just one trade based on a 1 minute, 1 hour time frame and see where you get to, you know. Then judge the strategy by following its rules. Otherwise, it's like when people come to me, you know, after they've done my market stalkers method, and my method calls for a, and I'm sorry for talking a little bit weird. Like I have these like braces that need to be like sorted out. So but I'm really bothered by them. I'm gonna sort them out like next week. I'm actually gonna go do that. But yeah, I've noticed like my talking has gotten a little bit more difficult recently. So yeah, if you where was I? If you are trying to modify the market stalkers methods, I say use 2R by default, using this particular formula for scaling your stops, and then you step away from that, and then they're like, oh yeah, my results. And I'm like, you've stepped away from the risk model. Why? Well, I'm trying, you know, and my strategy has like volatility adjusted stops. So it will tell you when you need to adjust the stops. But people think that they can do system design and they can still do better. I'm like, well, this is what we've tested, right? This is a tried and tested thing. This is works on 2R using the volatility adjusted stops as described. Doesn't work when you start increasing willy-nilly to 3R or reducing it to 1R. Yeah. Follow the strategies, you know. 11 aside, it's super slow. This is why we sit here and chat. When it's slow in trading, in prop firms, we chat a lot of shit. That's how we get over it. How did Carl put it? Carl hung us yesterday in chat during the main broadcast. I think it was Trade with Topstep or whatever segment they're calling it now. Might have even been Power Hour. And he said, less trading, more talking for summer trades. Chaos says, I need 600 more for my challenge. Okay. Chasing profits, I think. Yeah, summertime is quite slow. You need to find a hobby. You need to find a hobby. Otherwise, you'll be clicking buttons. And like Hogue says, if you're looking for a trade, you're going to find one. So, yeah. I'm just gonna clear my throat and have some water for a little bit. Carl is here. Hey. Well, I tried to clear my throat, didn't really work. So you're just gonna have to contend with me having frogs in my throat. Yeah, exactly. So with summer trading, I would definitely advise that you take up a new hobby, learn to crochet, um, maybe learn to cook. You know, look at some cooking classes online. Um, Redecorate your house. You know, paint some walls. Anything to keep you away from slow price action and from clicking buttons. I mean, I redecorated my entire old house whilst I was waiting for trades. I stripped the staircase off the old carpet. I sanded the whole. That took me like 18 months because I didn't know what I was doing, but it was a learning curve. And then we sanded the whole of the stairs. We repainted, varnished them. They lasted pretty well, actually. But yeah, summer trading, you have to occupy yourself with something rather than sitting here and just losing your mind with slow price action. Obviously, some confidence in the trading setups. If you're waiting for, if you're waiting for like, let's say a range trade, maybe do like an alert that sends at least a ping out of your speakers so you can hear it when it arrives. I know that many of you have TradingView on your phones. You can set TradingView alerts directly in your phone at your desired levels. Don't sit there and watch it. That's the worst thing you can do, right? Have a level of interest, have a plan behind it. Once the level hits, you can sit down and start watching it. Otherwise, you're just going to be like bleeding money slowly for no reason. Water, vape. Tom, you got me sussed, mate. Yeah, you're right. I did take a swing of a little toke of vape as well. But I did try water as well. So maybe that was my mistake. I don't know. Kevin Johnson Design. Good morning, team. Hope you're all well. Yes, Bruno and I are very well, and everybody in the chat. We're learning how to be patient during summertime trading when price action is driving you insane. Who said that gold is going down? Do you have your chart like flipped upside down or something? Because to me, this looks like it's going up, but what do I know, right? Isn't this new high of day? Yes, we've got Yoda here. Bruno just gave me the baby Grogu meme. I do think the gold does need to chill a little bit for my copper trade to work out. They're not like 100% correlated, but I've noticed that sometimes if gold decides to move, copper will kind of react to it, even though they're completely different looking today. And gold could be in a single direction day now, whereas copper not really. Yeah, gold's going up, so I don't know. Maybe on the longer time frame, once we stick away from the range trade on a weekly that we're in right now on gold, maybe it's in trouble in general, especially if everybody starts thinking that tariffs are not going to make too much of an impact. But otherwise, yeah, Bruno, let me just check that for a second. Bruno asked me a question. Where was it? There we go. Yeah. Yes, Bruno. All as normal for us. July the 4th, obviously everybody's off, but we don't stream the Euro trade on Fridays anyways. But yeah. I mean, it looks like they're yeah, they're just gonna do like a shorter no, I mean I see a full weird. Isn't like, correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't Thursday like an early close? What's going on there? I'm just looking at the schedule. It doesn't make much sense. I'm like, what's happening? So I need to investigate that. But I think we're going to be on because London doesn't have the 4th of July holiday, so LSE and LME are going to be open as usual. So yeah. Yeah, so Thursday and Friday early close. Not for us on Thursday though. Yeah, so this week for me is kind of the same, I think. Yeah, and I think we might be I mean, I don't know why they put like power hour and stuff when I think we are closing it up. Yeah. I don't know. I'll have to ask. Because I don't get the schedule. I don't know what the colors mean. Anyway, let's get back to this copper. I'm gonna drop down to a lower time frame. Let's see what the hell they're trying to do. Oh wow, that's very patchy. It's very patchy. Right, so we have a localized high here at 517. I do need, how did that happen? I do need to look at the main contract. Right, so 516 has 30 contracts waiting. They might try and hunt that, or they might shy away from it like they're doing now. Yeah, this is pretty painful. Look at the gaps. The gaps. I mean, it's not super thin. I've seen copper thinner than this, but it's not exactly thick. Usually we have at least like 20, 15, 30 contracts, and now it's like 1, 2, 4, 6. So yeah, we'll see. There could be, because it's so thin, somebody might just come in and go either up or down in one fell swoop. So we're gonna see. We'll see. What's this balance of power? Just want to see whether they have something similar to buying or selling pressure. Because frankly, I can't be bothered opening up Bookmap today. Yeah, that's not telling me much. Oh well, let's just commit to it. It's a half trade anyway. But yeah, they might want to go to 516 and then reverse. So it's gonna be a bit hairy. It's gonna get hairy. Is this a range trade that I'm stuck in on now? That is the real question. Is it a range trade? It might be. Yama trades. D, have you been getting payouts with copper or crude oil? Not with crude oil, but with copper, yes. I think I'm sitting on about 19,000 of payouts for this year, just from Topstep. Crude oil, I trade very sparingly. Like, I trade it once every couple of weeks now. And that's only because I'm still like, because I'm still not sure what's happened to. I think the reason why crude oil has gotten so weird is because they opened up more options on, like, bi-weekly options in July last year. And that just made it go even deader than it was. We used to have a $3 or $4 range every single day in crude oil for 12 years. And then last year, that just dwindled down to like 95 ticks. That's like not even a dollar worth of range. So both me and Hope were like, well, where are they gone? We want them, make them come back, please. But yeah, it just stayed. And then the last sort of, I don't know, about 3 months, every so often it goes a bit nuts and kind of a little glimpse of her old self. But then it goes dead again. So it's like, great. One day is what you get. So yeah, it's been a bit of a weird market, crude oil. If you're going to trade anything, try RBOB. RBOB is still liquid. Little crazy. It's kind of like the NASDAQ of the energies. And if you're looking for a smoother movement, then natural gas is pretty good, especially during the summertime. You do have to keep a little bit of a watch on the weather, though, because it's kind of weather dependent. It tends to go up when there's like storms or hurricanes that are plaguing either Mexico or somewhere, or even Florida. So yeah. But apart from that, natural gas tends to behave pretty nicely. And if we go to the 30-minute chart, you will see that it's generally a very smooth trade. When it's dropping, it's just dropping. There's some wicks, but generally it's pretty smooth trade, up or down, you know. I think this was the Mexico hurricane. That's what that was. There are days when London goes one way, NYMEX goes another one, like completely the other opposite direction. And note that NYMEX generally has more volume, so it will be a much more volatile, like bigger candles. And there's a distinct difference in volumes between London and Asia versus NYMEX. So if you're using stops based on the London or Asia volatility, and then you expect that those will survive into NYMEX, probably not. So yeah, I would base all of my stops on NYMEX volatility. What is my target in copper downside? Between 512 and 510. Rough target is towards the London value high and towards the gamma wall at 510. But I'm probably just going to take it at 511.25. If we get there, just like slightly above that whole zone, we don't really have anything else in the way up until then. So if we do start to drop, it should be a pretty clean drop. But it's summer, so this may take a while. Getting ready to sell gold. Guys, gold, like, okay. If you're going to sell gold, wait later on. Because it's not going down. Like what are we talking about? Why are you selling it? This is a single direction day for now. It overshot, you know, all of everything. So you're going to sell it around 33.67 if, if else conditionals, if it turns around. Why 33.67 is because that's where the ADR high is located. We don't have anything in the way, like literally nothing in the way. It's like single direction day, smashing upside with a hugely upward sloping curve, and they're like, I'm selling gold. It's like, is he trying to be psychic? Is that what's happening here? That's how people get themselves into trouble, right? Like, what are we doing? Don't touch it until structure changes or something in this thing changes. And let me guess, it's turning around on a 2-minute chart. No, it's not even turning around on a 2-minute. It's still above the 9 EMA and the ribbon. I mean, I don't know. If you're just looking for like a couple of tick scalp, then go for it. But if you're looking for anything larger, I would wait until it comes up a bit higher and exhausts some of the areas. Because, you know, if you look at it on the weekly chart, it's a range. It's in the middle of the range. It can go anywhere. On the daily chart, it's actually coming away from the bottom demand here that was already reactive. And now it's going higher. So it's like there's a daily chart. Where is the natural stopping point of this? Well, at the very least, somewhere near the volume point of control for this entire structure, that is like the middle of that range. And then if you want to go short, well, intraday we might have a chance once we get closer to the VPOC, because it's going to be, you know, high enough, and the average daily range is going to be exhausted at that point. But if you're looking for a few points, knock yourself out. If you're looking to grab a good chunk of it, I don't think it's time enough, but hey, what do I know? Again, I don't know how you trade. You could be a scalper, in which case, forget everything that I said. But yeah, I just wouldn't with upslope like this. Until that changes, even on a tiny little time frame, you know, until we break structure, stop creating buying wicks to the upside constantly every time somebody tries to sell it, I think this is still a very strong market for now, for today anyway. Might change, but, you know, I don't know. Maybe you're seeing something different. And don't say overbought, please. Don't. Otherwise, I'm going to go and jump out the window in the garden. I didn't say buy gold right now either. I said wait until it goes higher if you're going to sell it, or wait until a decent pullback if you're going to buy it. I don't think we're at any good levels. Yeah. Yeah, YAML trades. Don't bet against America. Yeah. Flash Golden says, I'm pretty much, I want it all, but with high risk management. Yeah, I mean, look, good risk management brings it all. You know? Good risk management brings everything that you want. But without risk management is nothing. Luckily on Topstep, we have all those fancy little risk tools that can help us in, you know, maintaining our discipline. If you're struggling with discipline, I will give you one tip to, and you know, those of you who have been here, you know this tip. Just lock out your risk settings the day before. So when Globex opens, lock out your risk settings for the next day. And that way you don't have a choice. Like, you have to stop because the platform will stop you. Whether that's the trade limit setting, whether that's number of trade limit, whether that's the daily loss limit, whatever it might be, symbol block to only trade micros instead of minis, and you will get there. But without it, you know, if you're not following a good risk model, then, you know, you will have a couple of good weeks, then a disaster, and then you lose the account, and then you're in that spin cycle of constantly doing boom and bust, boom and bust, boom and bust. And then your psychology starts getting affected because you think you suck. And it's not that you suck, it's just that you need a little bit of a shackle moment to rein in some of the behaviors. Obviously, come visit us for the Neuro Wednesdays. Me and Jerome give you some very constructive tools in order to kind of replace some of the self-limiting beliefs and habits that you might be struggling with. So, do the visualizations, start being more self-aware, do that introspective work so that you can start to move forward. But definitely use the wrist tools on Topstep because they are, they are the best thing since like sliced bread. I can't even believe there's a prop firm who has all of these wrist settings. Usually those are like pretty expensive plug-in tools that you get from like a third-party vendor. And here we are, you buy one evaluation, whether it's $49.99 or $149, and you get all the wrist tools for free. It's like, what risk setting would you use on a 50K account with another firm? not to be mentioned, with 2,500. So anytime you are coming up with a new account, I will divide whatever the firm has as a maximum drawdown by 10. So that becomes your daily loss limit. Take it slow. Don't, like, especially on the firm that you mentioned, they have the intraday drawdown. So, and unfortunately, some people still have to default to them because they do tend to accept certain countries that maybe not accepted elsewhere. But yeah, so divided by 10. So whatever the maximum initial drawdown is, divide that by 10, that becomes a stop loss. And then try and pass the evaluation using data loss limit of, that would be 250. So immediately puts you onto the micros. And until you have a buffer, obviously if you pass the evaluation, then you go into the funded account, do the same thing and keep going until you have a good buffer and the intraday trailing stops. And that way you shouldn't be in trouble. You should be learning how to trade sustainably and how to maintain an account and stop. If you're struggling on other platforms, there is it's not cheap. And this is what I'm saying, every time you want to use something else, you suddenly have to pay an arm and a leg for all of these like risk tools that we natively have in Topstep for free. So there is a Guardian Angel Trader, and again, I'm not an affiliate. I just love what the guy has done. It is a plugin for Ninja, and it offers you same thing that we have here. So you can have a trade limit. You can lock yourself out for either some minutes or the entire day until the next day. Hey, you can even lock yourself out for 2-3 days. You can even lock up the times of day when you trade, and that can be just something that stays. So therefore, you're never tempted to trade before the time of day that you designate for yourself. He's also come up with a really good way to stop you from meddling. So during a certain time frame, he actually has this thing to remove access to Ninja assembly. So you can't even go like deleting it and stuff. You would have to like know how to actually completely hack like the Windows system to delete it, which not many people know how to do anyway. And yeah, it's a great tool, but it costs a pretty penny. I think it's like $350, maybe $380. And if you're not a profitable trader and yet you really need something like that, that's a lot of money to shell out for a tool, that might help you in the long run. So you have to like weigh the pros and cons. Whereas with Topstep, you just get it. Like you paid $49, you have access to it. So you can train your brain and yourself to unglue yourself from some of the negative behaviors by using the wrist tools. And some people argue, oh, it's a crutch. Yeah, it might be a crutch, but remember, self-awareness is one step. And then the next step is to actually remove all temptation. How do you do that as an addict? If we're going to look at, you know, how addicts do things, by not having alcohol in the house or whatever plagues you, like drugs or whatever the problem is. And by completely abstaining from whatever causes you to go into addictive behaviors. How do we do that as traders? You lock yourself out. There's no more. You've locked yourself out. It's like a heavily overweight person can't keep the cookies, you know, in the house because they eat them all. Well, you can buy these boxes that have a timer, and then they only unlock for like the weekend or for 1 hour a day or something. So that's similar to the lockout button, right? It's a pretty good way to begin your brain training. And then later on, when you turn it into a habit, you turn, you know, a good behavior into a good habit and an autopilot version of yourself, then you can say, oh yeah, it's a crutch, so who needs that? But people need it. People need it. Don't, you know, don't go bashing people who use these tools to control themselves, because they are on a good path, you know. Once you take away the temptation, you then realize, hold on, there's a new neural connection being formed here. What kind of weirdness is this, right? Senna said, what's the significance of overboard? Were you talking about me jumping out of the window? It was just a joke. Just a joke, because again, there's certain things that irk me when people start. Or were you talking about me overbought? Maybe my accent came out a bit wrong. Overbought, because when somebody says, you know, I see GC going massively up like this, and they go, oh, RSI is overbought. That's when I just want to go jump in the river and end it all. So who cares whether it's overbought or not, if the market structure is still saying up, up, and up? Do you know how many people have lost their shirts shorting equities when they were overbought ever since the credit crunch? Epic. It's overbought. Let's short it. Then it goes to another all-time high. Why did it do that? Oh, I don't know, because you didn't look at the market structure, but just said, oh, RSI is like 80. It must come down. No, it doesn't. This is not physics, right? This is not gravity related. Markets are not impacted by gravity because they exist in the cloud. No. Gowan Trades says, I have those boxes, cost me $1,000 per unit. Yeah. Oh. Santa says, I've built these wrist tools for Rhythmic. I'll be needing some testers in a bit. Oh, what happened? Am I still live? Because for some reason I was like buffering in here, so I'm trying to get comfy in the chair. See? Are we still live? We're still live. Weird. Yeah. My YouTube decided to buffer, so I was like, what is happening? Yeah, Tom says, overboard gets overboarder. Oversold gets oversolder. All right, so I think the problem was that I was running my stream and then the YouTube and everything. Yeah. So my Starlink decided to get a bit weird on me. That's all right. All right, so we're kind of making a little bit of a move to the downside in copper here. Let's see if we can just get a bit of traction, even though, again, LME doesn't really start active copper trading until midday, and they actually start in an hour. So yeah, I'm guessing it's going to take a little bit of time. Yeah, so it wasn't just me, a little laggy. Yeah. So something happened there. Right. So yeah, now we wait. Again, this is why summer trading is like watching paint dry. But eventually they start moving in the right direction. You just need to have, some point move down. But yeah. If this is still very sluggish by the time LME opens and starts trading, then I will probably grab like 35 ticks, so only half of this, just to get a bit of a buffer. And then I'm going to have a break and quite possibly only trade for my live stream. And then after that, we have lunchbox trading with Anne-Marie back on TopstepTV. So I have Eurotrade TopstepTV. Then my own channel, which is going to be 4 p.m. today. And then 6 p.m. my time, lunchbox trading with the lovely Anne-Marie. Kenny D says, I'm new here. Best tips to get past the combine. Take it slow. Get proof of concept. Don't try to rush it and pass in 2 days, because that is not going to give you any skills necessary to actually be successful in the funded account. So proof of concept first. Try to spend at least 2 weeks, maybe a month in a combine. Have a sensible size and sensible daily allowance, even though there is no daily loss limit, but they allow us to set that. I think it's probably better to have your own. I usually divide it by 10, whatever starting point you have. If you're more experienced, then we can talk maybe about adjusting that. But if you're still struggling with days where you overtrade or you oversize, learning risk control during this evaluation period has to be the primary choice. And in fact, if you still cannot keep a hold of a funded account, then I would just go 1 micro, proof of concept. How do you do on 1 micro over a month? Is there any profits? Is there an edge there or not? Sizing up and then calling those days profitable, whilst you've only sized up for no reason whatsoever to get out of a red day or a red week, and then saying that you're profitable, that means you're messing around with the parameters and variables. But if you can be profitable without the size optimization, so just trading one size over a number of weeks, that proves you've got an edge. At least some edge that works during some markets. So yeah. Sandy, the check is in the mail. Sandy working overtime to remind people on the audience interaction, which I'm absolutely terrible with. I don't like asking for likes. I don't like asking for people to subscribe. We've got Andre for that. But I suppose when I'm the one running these, I should kind of put it on a post it. Oh God, I'm gonna yawn. I don't want to yawn on camera. So bored in this trade. Come on. I thought the daily loss limit is 50k account 2k. You're not supposed to have So, okay, let's just break that down before I finish it up. The 50K account is a nominal value of what you would need to trade with up to 5 minis in a brokerage, okay? They only give you, prop firms give you a very tight risk allowance. You're basically trading a $2,000 account. And if you're going to use the maximum loss limit as your daily loss limit, that means your risk of ruin is in the billions, because you're only going to be lasting one day or maybe even like one trade if you sized up high enough. So is it a good idea to use 100% of the account of the maximum loss allowance on one day? I'm not going to answer that. You answer that, right? But yeah, what's the name of the indicator on the right side? It's called visible range volume profile. VPVR for short, but it's visible range volume profile. So if you type in volume, there it is, volume profile visible range. That's what it is. Yeah, so there's a difference between the maximum loss limit and the daily loss limit. Maximum loss limit is all of the risk allowance that they give you. So let's move that in the real world. You have 5,000 of your own money to spend at a personal brokerage. So you put in the 5 grand, and on the first day you spend all of the 5 grand. You basically blow out. Is that what we want to be doing? Now on your personal money, there's no reset button. In Topstep, there is. Does that mean that you should still be trying to pass challenges like that? No, because you're still risking 100% of the maximum risk allowance. Remember, this is prop trading that reduces the entry cost of having to use personal capital in order to learn how to trade successfully. So you do it for a fraction of the cost with many tries. But the point is that by the time you get into a funded account, you have a viable system that can work for longer periods of time so that you can derive profits from it, right? That's the whole point. If you're constantly rushing and using the entire maximum loss allowance for one trade on one day, this literally your risk of ruin is going to be in the billions. I did a video about 2-3 years ago on risk of ruin on my channel. You may want to go find that because it's quite an eye-opener. And it doesn't even have that much with sizing, but with negative risk reward and stuff like that. And, you know, there's a lot of things that go into a risk system and the system design. And yet a lot of people are approaching it willy-nilly, like, oh yeah, what do you mean system design? I have a system, and then their system is when they lose minus 11R, but when they win, they only win plus 0.5R. And I'm like, are you asking to fail? Like, well, then you want to make this really difficult for yourself? But hey, what do I know, right? I've only been doing this for 18 years. Anyways, we're going to finish it up here. I'm going to sit in this trade and babysit it. I may even go break even at some point, maybe if we get to 35 ticks. Although I may not need to, because they seem to have picked up just as I'm about to finish the stream. So thank you for that. Everyone. Yeah, so let's see what the day brings. Come and join and catch me on my own channel around 10 a.m. CST, which is 4 p.m. GMT or BST, whatever this time is now in the UK, 4 p.m. So we're going to try and find a Euro trade, maybe on copper, maybe on something else. I don't know. We'll see what's around. And maybe we even look at DAX. I don't know. That could be a choice because DAX usually reverses in and around about that time. But yeah, that's it for today. You will see me on TopstepTV again for lunchbox trading as well. So it's a busy D day. Until then, you know, don't get caught up too much in some doldrums. Find a hobby and I will see you a little bit later. This was TopstepTV, Euro Trade. I'm Mark Stoker D. Take care.